Welcome back to WION World is One. Thank you so much for staying with us. You're watching World DNA with me, Hem Kaur Saroya, and here's what we've lined up for you on the show today. Rescue workers scramble to find survivors hours after 7.7 magnitude earthquake hit Myanmar and neighbouring Thailand. Authorities confirm over 150 dead. An earthquake of magnitude 4.7 jolts Afghanistan, according to the National Center for Seismology. The earthquake took place in the early hours of Saturday at a depth of 180 kilometers. India clears its biggest ever defence deal, buying 156 Made in India light combat Prachand helicopters for the Army and Air Force from Hindustan Aeronautics Limited. Israel warns of strikes everywhere in Lebanon after rocket fire prompts it to bomb Beirut for the first time during the 4-month-old truce with Hezbollah. Russian President Vladimir Putin calls for a transitional administration to be put in place in Ukraine. Vows his army would finish off Ukrainian troops even as the US pushes for a ceasefire.
Canada. We had a very good conversation with the Prime Minister. They've got an election going on, so we're going to meet after the election.
US President Donald Trump says he had an extremely productive first call with Canada's Prime Minister Mark Carney amid soaring tensions between the neighbouring countries over tariffs.
I think that talking about anything too far in the future is way too premature. We do not think that military force is ever going to be necessary.
US Vice President J.D. Vance accuses Denmark of not doing a good job keeping Greenland safe, suggests the US would better protect the semi-autonomous Danish territory, however downplays the use of force to acquire the territory. Royal Challengers Bengaluru ends 17-year winless streak in Chennai. RCB beat Chennai Super Kings by 50 runs to win their second consecutive match in the Indian Premier League. At least 150 people have died and hundreds are injured after a massive 7.7 earthquake which had its epicenter in Myanmar, jolted Thailand and parts of China. An emergency has been declared in Thailand and 6 other regions in Myanmar. These are the images of a 30-story under-construction building collapsing in Bangkok. Dozens of workers are reportedly trapped. The building in the north of the Thai capital was reduced to a tangle of rubble and twisted metal in seconds after the quake. Metro and rail services were suspended in Bangkok while power outages were reported in several parts of Thailand. Residents in the capital Bangkok were seen running into the streets as the building shook. Thai Prime Minister declared a state of emergency in Bangkok after the quake. The earthquake rocked central Myanmar, buckling roads in capital Naypyidaw, and the 7.7 magnitude tremor hit northwest of the city of Sagaing at a shallow depth. The United States Geological Survey said a 6.4 magnitude aftershock hit the same area minutes later. Chunks of ceilings fell from buildings and roads buckled. As I mentioned, a sprawling purpose-built city with highways up to 20 lanes wide was affected, and the Myanmar government has made a rare request for the international humanitarian aid. Tremors from the earthquake were felt in China's southwest Yunnan province. Tremors were also felt in India's northeast, West Bengal, Bihar, UP and Delhi NCR. Following the powerful earthquake, relief and support is pouring in from across the world. US President Donald Trump has pledged American assistance to Myanmar and Thailand.
Going to be helping. We've already alerted the people. Yeah, it's terrible what's happened. It's a real bad one, and we will be helping. We've already spoken with the country.
Despite funding cuts, USAID has deployed teams in Thailand to assist in relief efforts. The WHO is mobilizing its logistics hub in Dubai to aid trauma injury supplies and essential medicines. India is also sending over 15 tons of relief material to Myanmar. And India's relief package includes essential medicines, ready-to-eat meals, water purifiers, hygiene kits, among other items. Earlier, Prime Minister Narendra Modi had assured Myanmar and Thailand of all possible assistance to aid relief and rescue efforts. Now, Israel has launched an attack on Lebanon's capital after more than 4 months. This is the first strike on Beirut since the Israel-Hezbollah ceasefire took hold in November, although Israel has struck targets in southern Lebanon almost daily since then. Now, reporters in Beirut heard a loud boom and witnessed smoke rising from an area in the city's southern suburbs. Israel said it attacked a Hezbollah drone storage facility in the area of Daye, which it called a key Hezbollah stronghold. The area struck is a residential and commercial area and is close to at least 2 schools.
A strike happened and it ended. That's it. But this is a residential area full of children, and there is nothing wrong there. I have been in the area for 22 years, and I know this building. But they want to scare us. They want to intimidate us, but they won't succeed.
Israeli officials have said the attack is retaliation for rockets fired from Lebanon into northern Israel. The strikes come after Israel vowed that strikes on Beirut could continue unless Lebanon's government worked to secure and ensure such attacks ceased. Israel's defense minister Israel Katz has warned that if there was no peace in Israel's northern communities, there would be no peace in Beirut either. Hezbollah has denied the firing the rockets and accused Israel of seeking a pretext to continue attacking Lebanon.
The airstrike on Beirut came hours after 2 rockets were fired from southern Lebanon into northern Israel. Israel defense minister warned after the rockets were fired that Beirut will be attacked after the attack on Kiryat Shmona. Lebanon's militant Hezbollah group said it was not behind the attack. The attack came less than a week since also 3 rockets were fired into northern Israel.
Now, the Israeli military has also released a video to show airstrikes on suspected Hezbollah sites in southern Lebanon. Footage shows massive balls of fire and smoke reaching skywards after each attack. The US has said that Israel is defending itself, asserting that it is incumbent upon the Lebanese government to disarm militant groups such as Hezbollah. The US has also issued fresh sanctions aimed at Hezbollah that target 5 individuals and 3 entities. The State Department has said that sanctions target Hezbollah's finance team as well as family members and close associates of prominent Hezbollah officials. Meanwhile, in Yemen, a new wave of US airstrikes hit targets across the country. Fresh smoke could be seen rising in Yemen's capital, Sana'a. Houthi media has reported that the airstrikes hit key locations in the capital as well as several Houthi-controlled areas in the country's northwest. The US military has ramped up airstrikes against the Houthis in recent weeks in response to Houthi attacks on shipping routes in the Red Sea and Bab al-Mandab Strait. And Canada's Prime Minister and US President have spoken to each other over a phone call. This conversation comes at a time of a growing rift between both the nations over Trump's tariffs and his comments about making Canada the 51st US state. Now, calling this conversation productive, Donald Trump shared that both leaders will meet after Canada's elections.
Always love Canada. And we had a very good conversation with the Prime Minister. And, they've got an election going on, so we're going to meet after the election.
Now, Carney said that the US President respected Canada's sovereignty after earlier sharing his plan to annex the neighboring country. And he also added that both leaders will start negotiations over a new economic and security partnership.
Very constructive discussion, and we agreed to begin comprehensive negotiations about a new economic and security relationship between our two sovereign countries immediately following the federal election. The President respected Canada's sovereignty today, both in his private and public comments.
Now, the two leaders also spoke about the Trump administration imposing tariffs on Canadian products. Carney informed the US President that Canada will impose retaliatory tariffs to protect its economy and its workers. The call comes on the heels of Mark Carney's statement on deteriorating US-Canada relations. On the 27th of March, the Canadian Prime Minister had said that the old relationship with the United States was over.
The old relationship we had with the United States, based on deepening integration of our economies and tight security and military cooperations.
Now, the conversation comes just 4 days before Trump's auto tariff on Canada and other nations takes effect. The US President had earlier signed an executive order to implement 25% reciprocal tariffs effective from April 2nd. Now, US Vice President J.D. Vance believes that the use of force will not be necessary in striking a deal with Greenland. The Vice President also criticized Denmark for not doing enough to protect the island. Now, during his visit to the space base in northwestern Greenland, the US Vice President said that a deal with Greenland can be worked out without any potential military action. He also added that the deal will ensure the security of the Danish territory and the United States.
I think that talking about anything too far in the future is way too premature. We do not think that military force is ever going to be necessary. We think this makes sense. And because we think the people of Greenland are rational and good, we think we're going to be able to cut a deal, Donald Trump style, to ensure the security of this territory, but also the United States of America.
Furthermore, Vance accused Denmark of not doing enough to protect Greenland. He also lambasted Copenhagen of underinvesting in the people and the infrastructure of Greenland.
Our message to Denmark is very simple. You have not done a good job by the people of Greenland. You have underinvested in the people of Greenland, and you have underinvested in the security architecture of this incredible, beautiful landmass filled with incredible people. That has to change.
Now, earlier, the US Vice President J.D. Vance and Second Lady Usha Vance were seen interacting with American soldiers. J.D. Vance also told US soldiers, and I'm quoting, that Donald Trump is really interested in Arctic security.
I know it's a lot of sacrifice to spend a year away from your families, but the mission is really important. The Trump administration, the president is really interested in Arctic security. As you all know, it's a big issue, and it's only going to get bigger over the coming decades. So thanks for doing what you do.
Now, just ahead of the visit, 4 political parties of Greenland agreed to form a coalition. Leaders from across party lines came together to form an alliance that can deal with mounting pressure from the United States. Greenlanders cast their vote in a pivotal election that was held on the 11th of March. Greenland's new Prime Minister has also stressed on the need for dialogue to resolve the rift.
We will have to engage in dialogue. There is no doubt about that. And the first thing we do is engage in dialogue with our closest allies. We will have to move even closer as the situation is now. Of course, it's Denmark, and then we have the USA too, but that's where the whole problem lies. We need to have a dialogue with all of them. Without dialogue, we will solve absolutely nothing.
Meanwhile, US President Donald Trump shared a new video on his Truth Social account highlighting the country's military efforts to defend the autonomous island. The 90-second video dates back to World War II, showcasing several archival clips of Greenland. The video talks of how Americans and Greenlanders stood as sentinels at the top of the world. It also added that the island is currently facing threats from Russia's aggression and China's expansion. In his latest remarks at the White House, US President Donald Trump has once again said that the country needs to control Greenland for world peace. Trump's remark overlaps with the Vice President's visit to Greenland.
We need Greenland, very importantly, for international security. We have to have Greenland. It's not a question of, do you think we can do without it? We can't.
Now, Greenland is an autonomous territory that comes under the Kingdom of Denmark. Prime ministers of both Denmark and Greenland have criticized the United States, and particularly Trump's territorial ambition, as foreign interference. Now, for more on this, our correspondent Susan Tehrani has sent us this report from New York. Listen to this.
U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance stirred controversy during a visit to Greenland, accusing Denmark of underinvesting in the island's security. Speaking from Greenland, Vance said that the U.S., quote-unquote, had no options but to take a stronger role in Greenland, hinting at closer ties or even control under President Donald Trump. His remarks sparked backlash in Denmark as well as Greenland, where leaders say the territory isn't for sale. J.D. Vance suggested Greenland could thrive under a U.S. partnership, citing growing threats from both China and Russia in the Arctic. The visit was scaled back to an extent after local outrage over lack of consultations, highlighting rising tensions over President Trump's renewed interest in acquiring the island. Susan Tehrani reporting from New York for WION World is One.
Now, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi is visiting Rameswaram in the South Indian state of Tamil Nadu on the 5th of April. Prime Minister Modi will pay respects at Sri Arul Amigu Ramanathaswamy temple on the day that happens to be Ram Navami. The other highlight of the trip will be Prime Minister Modi's inauguration of the Pamban Bridge in India's southernmost tip. This new 2.5-kilometer long bridge replaces an older colonial-era bridge. It will allow trains to cross the sea between mainland India and the Rameswaram island in less than 5 minutes, compared to the 25 to 30 minutes through the old bridge. Built by the Rail Vikas Nigam Limited, this new bridge is the first vertical lift bridge in Asia. The bridge can be raised up to 22 meters in just 5 minutes, while allowing trains to travel at speeds of 75 kilometers per hour. It is equipped with stainless steel reinforcements and composite sleepers to withstand harsh coastal conditions and high wind speeds. It is built to ensure compatibility with future upgrades in rail systems. Prime Minister Modi's stopover at Rameswaram comes on his return journey from Sri Lanka, and he will be arriving in Colombo on the 4th of April. To review the progress in areas of cooperation that were agreed during the Sri Lankan President's visit to India, he will also have meetings with senior dignitaries and political leaders in Sri Lanka. As part of the visit, Prime Minister will also travel to Anuradhapura to inaugurate development projects implemented with Indian financial assistance. This will be the Prime Minister's 4th visit to the island nation since his last visit in 2019, and he will be the first foreign head of state to be hosted by Sri Lankan President Anurakumara Dissanayake after his inauguration. India was the first country to bail out Sri Lanka at the time of financial crisis in 2023, using monetary assistance, credit limits and deferred import payments. India strongly stood with its Indian Ocean ally in difficult times, And ahead of Sri Lanka's visit, the Indian Prime Minister will be in Thailand from the 3rd to the 4th of April to take part in the 6th BIMSTEC summit that is being hosted by the current BIMSTEC chair, Thailand. This will be Prime Minister Modi's 3rd visit to Thailand. It will also mark the first physical meeting of BIMSTEC leaders. And over to cricket now. Royal Challengers Bengaluru ended a 17-year winless streak, defeating Chennai Super Kings by 50 runs. This victory marked their second consecutive win, giving them a perfect start to the Indian Premier League. Ruturaj Gaikwad won the toss, opted to bowl first. Phil Salt gave Bengaluru a blazing start, scoring 32 off 16 balls, while Virat Kohli played a steady knock of 31 from 30 balls. Skipper Rajat Patidar, who was dropped twice during his innings, held the visitors' innings together with 51 of 32 balls. Tim David then provided a late flourish, smashing 3 sixes in the final over. Bowled by Sam Curran, he finished with 22 not out from just 8 balls. As a result, RCB posted a total of 197 for 7 in their 20 overs. Noor Ahmed was the standout bowler for Chennai, taking 3 wickets for 36 runs in his 4 overs. Chennai lost early wickets to Josh Hazlewood and Indian veteran Bhuvneshwar Kumar. Hazlewood struck twice in the second over, removing Rahul Tripathi and Gaikwad. Kumar then dismissed Deepak Hooda in the 5th over, leaving the home side struggling at 26 for 3. Yash Dayal claimed 2 wickets in his 3 overs, while England's Liam Livingstone bowled 4 tight overs of spin. New Zealand's Rachin Ravindra was the highest scorer for Chennai, making 41. MS Dhoni finished unbeaten on 30 as the hosts ended their innings at 146 for 8. Dhoni is now Chennai Super Kings' highest run scorer in the IPL.
I think if you take it back to us as a unit right now,